Throughout history, humans have always relied on the strength of weapons. Prince Arthur used a sword, Oppenheimer had a bomb, Legolas used a bow, and even the simple caveman could hunt far more effectively with a wooden club, as seen here in the historically accurate Flash game, Age of War. But what if the people are the problem? Say we remove them from the equation and instead created a species of sentient weapons, using the incredibly advanced life simulation game, Spore. I would bargain we might just take over the world, and so only one question remained. Which weapon would I choose? Introducing the cannon. In my opinion, the cannon is the ultimate weapon. It has extreme power, pinpoint accuracy, sometimes, unless you're in an anime, and you can also use it as a method of transport if you climb inside. With this mouth-watering scientific project at my doorstep, I set about making my cannon creature, starting my journey all the way down at the very essence of life itself, Cell Stage. We began our journey in typical fashion by crashing into the sea on a giant space asteroid, already performing a cannonball. Very nice, very on brand. But this will not do. I'm trying to make a weapon of mass destruction, not an aubergine. That's an eggplant for all you filthy Americans. My first course of action was to make my creature much more cylindrical, to create a kind of fleshy barrel that will eventually be able to fire ammunition out of it. This would be Cannon Design version 1, but no, come on, we need a better name than that. How about, Colin the Cannon? Okay, Colin, let's set out to sea. I figured he was perfect already, but I was mistaken, deeply mistaken, because it wasn't long until I stumbled upon a further upgrade. A jet. Now, most reasonable people would use this jet on the back of their creature as a method of propulsion. Little do they know, the jet actually doubles as the perfect shooting apparatus. I mean, sorry, look at that. We've literally made a cannon already. I don't need to do the rest of the video, I could just end it here. As genius as I was feeling in the moment though, this new build did have several glaring issues. The main one being that its mouth is now inside of the barrel, meaning that he no longer has the ability to eat. Something which some people would say is kind of important, but that was okay. There was an easy solution to this, and that was to move his mouth to the back. And this was great, only that it wasn't, because as his cannon face dragged him through the ocean, I now had to perform some sort of 180 trick shot whilst in motion to grab food as it drifted by. Hang on, just let me, no, not quite, just give me a sec. No, come on, there we go. And what a painful next 20 minutes it was, until I finally decided I had had enough of this and I needed another way to get sustenance. Now, a stupid, boring normie might consider moving the mouth back to the front, but I had better ideas. Poison. Yes, in Spore there is a body part that fires out poison, and so if I combined my jet with this, hypothetically I would be able to shoot poison as if it were bullets. In reality though, I had forgotten the ocean is made of liquid, so any poison I do fire out just kind of dissipates in front of our own face, which is good, isn't it? I'm sure that's healthy. The one upside to this toxic conundrum was that by swimming around, I was also poisoning everything else, meaning although I was struggling to eat, I could still at least collect more body parts to try, one of which I think was just what we needed. It's called the the omnivore mouth, crafted carefully into a delicate tube, unless you make it massive, in which case it becomes the perfect cannon shape. Yes, this was it! Look at Colin go! He can't move for food now. In fact, he seems to be struggling to move at all. Ooh, it's a bit unwieldy. I'm noticing that we're a bit top heavy and it's sort of hampering our ability to maneuver or swim. Okay, we have to make this schnoz of ours a little bit smaller. Let me just find a mate somewhere around here. Uh-oh. It turned out my mouth was now so big that I couldn't get close enough with another member of my species to mate. This could be the end of my dynasty, but thankfully some other creature came along and electrocuted us to death, and I was able to rectify the problem. With that, the rest of Cell Stage was a breeze, and in no time at all, I was popping on some legs and moving up onto land. Soon this whole world would be mine, but whoa, what's with all the skeletons? I mean, that is like an offensive amount of bones. There must have been some sort of battle here. I wondered what kind of hellscape awaited us. Oh well, that was a future problem. For now, we just had to focus on teaching Colin to be the best goddamn marksman this world has ever seen. Okay, Colin, there's a piece of lettuce in front of you. I want you to aim and fire. What? No, Colin, what are you doing? I didn't say anything about close combat. Right, this sort of behaviour needs to be sorted out straight away, Colin. Stop inhaling the lettuce. Cannons are supposed to blow, not suck. We aren't trying to make Henry Hoover here. I headed back to the drawing board, and via completely legitimate means, just give me a second here. Oh, what? That's crazy. We've got so much money now. Whoa. I discovered the spit ability. When you think about it, a cannonball is to a cannon what a ball of spit is to a living being. Look, it's a projectile. I don't care. It works, okay? And boy, did it work. Because you cannot tell me that this creature doesn't look like it belongs on a pirate ship. On a real though, how have I managed to make this cannon so cute? He is adorable. I mean, he's a machine of war. You just watch. Colin is fearsome, and I set about testing out his new shooting abilities, taking position on some high ground above a nest of cheese. Colin set his sights, and then... Whoa, what a shot! And again, Colin. 2 shots, 1 kill. Not bad. He really was quite the turret. That was a whole nest of cheese defeated. It was time to move on to bigger and better opponents, such as this gunpowder. Actually, as a cannon, that could be quite useful, Colin. Stuff some in your back pocket. No, we needed a real test, such as these toucans. We're about to turn them into a pile of feathers. Open fire, Colin. Loose. Let him have it. Colin, I don't mean to alarm you, but they're getting really rather close range and oh god, run away! But with his stubby little nubs, Colin remained very much stationary, and he was pecked to death. In the hopes that I never had to see that harrowing scene again, I decided to give Colin what all good cannons need: some wheels. It took him a while to get used to these. Initially he was just trying to use them as if they were normal feet, but with some more tweaks he sort of got the hang of it, and from here on out I could employ a new strategy. I called it the Simpsons Spit and Run. It's a pretty self-explanatory process. You just spit and then and then another spit and then very cleverly keeping our distance from the target as any good sniper would do. This technique was so effective that not only did I take out the entire toucan genus, but I waltzed my way through creature stage, scared of nothing and nobody. That is, until I accidentally wheeled Colin over a geezer and whoa! Colin, no! Oh, okay, phew. It's okay, guys, he's fine. He's made of steel, nothing can hurt him apart from... Uh-oh, who was this on the horizon? What? French people? What are French people doing here? I just don't believe it. Well, this would explain all of the bones everywhere. We've only gone and stumbled into the territory of the great dictator Napoleon Bonaparte. Oh god, even the spit and run strategy won't work against one of history's most evil military tacticians, and before Colin could wheel himself out of there, he was beaten up so hard that it made the game crash. A classic French revolutionary tactic. Well, that was unexpected. Colin knew that, being a cannon, he was going to have to get into a few battles, but the last thing he expected was to be reenacting the Napoleonic Wars. One thing was for certain, Colin needed an upgrade, and this particular modification I am pretty proud of because, thinking outside of the box, I noticed another projectile within Spore that most people would overlook. That's right, I'm talking about the Humble Stick. My idea was that by creating a larger barrel on the front of our cannon and placing an arm in the middle, we could pick up twigs and branches in front of us, then launching them into the air as you would a normal cannon. But okay, I take it back, this is the lamest idea I've ever had. I'm pretty sure that did no damage whatsoever. All we did is piss off a rogue, and yeah, as expected, didn't end very well. Okay, let's just undo everything we did there and instead think about the bigger picture, because the truth is, on the field of battle, a cannon was no use by itself. Colin was not born to be a solo act. He should be part of a full brigade. With that, I began to befriend members of my own species, until Colin had a fine-looking artillery division around him. This was the way. Take your positions on the hill, men. We would set up a full barrage. It's over, Napoleon. I have the high ground, screamed Colin, as he and his comrades fired a full volley on the measly French peasants below. That's it. Go back to the Renaissance fair. The battle was over. But as it turns out, even back in the 18th century, France was quite a big country, and though we had won this small skirmish, the war would continue into tribal stage. Setting up a small settlement, Colin and his cannons hunkered down, as Napoleon and the French built the brown village of, Bordeaux? I don't know, just across the way. The village itself was unimpressive, but just west of Bordeaux in, I guess, Saint-Étienne, Colin discovered the French had taken control of a mysterious stone formation. Weird carvings, horned demonic statues. It had all the hallmarks of a sacrificial burial ground. Or maybe it was just like a tourist attraction, like a predecessor to the Eiffel Tower. This whole storyline was getting a bit weird, and Colin was keen to nip the whole French Empire thing in the bud. So, in a move of pure force with no planning whatsoever, he went to the brown village and just dumped all of the gunpowder he had collected earlier onto their campfire. The result was a huge explosion, and as the dust settled, it revealed very little damage at all. Outnumbered, the cannons division were forced to retreat, whilst the city of Bordeaux made repairs to their town hall. Yeah, just hit it with a hammer, that'll do it. In an effort to recuperate from this devastating loss, Colin ordered his officers to head out and tame the wild animals to harvest their eggs. They tamed a pear, and a toucan, and a long boy, who was then abducted by an alien spaceship and never seen again. No matter, they now had enough food to support a growing army. This time, they would not be outnumbered. Making another charge on the brown village, my cannons made sure to leave no stone unturned. The melee was intense. Spears clashed against steel as Colin and his crew got way too close range. Like, guys, remember, spit and run. All was well in the end though, as Bordeaux was set aflame in a really laggy cutscene, and the brown village, along with General Napoleon, were defeated. News of Napoleon's fall spread fast throughout the land, and clingers-on such as this group of poachers scrambled to seize power over the region. In this sense, the Pink Village would be my cannon's next targets, or they would be once they stopped being attacked by a giant bear. That's good, isn't it? I can just sit back and relax. Once the bear was gone, however, Colin noticed something rather interesting. The poachers had firearms of their own, in the form of the bright pink shotguns they carried around. As a literal sentient gun himself, Colin knew just how dangerous these weapons could be. And so, rather than attack head-on, he came up with an ingenious plan. The Cannons Division would send one brave soldier at a time to draw the enemy's fire. They would run around the town hall in circles, and just like that, the poachers would destroy their own village. This worked unbelievably well, to the point where you really have to question the poachers' intelligence, as they shot their own base to smithereens. My cannons were able to take control of the area, and we could advance, nasal first, into civilization stage. By this point, things were going really swimmingly. Cities of cannons were popping up all over the world, living for the most part in peace. Partially due to the deterrent of the cars I had created, which, I don't know if you call them intimidating, but they did all carry a giant rocket launcher known as the War Crime on the top. Still, all there was to do now was bask in our utopia and collect money from these conveniently located spice geezers. In my opinion, Spore sort of walked so that the Dune films could run. Soon we would become the richest colony in the universe. What's that thing coming out of the trees? No, it can't be, but I'd heard they were extinct. Standing tall, behind the altar of strange stones, was a giant whelk. What sorcery, what black magic could have brought this terror back upon us? And hang on, look at the map. Is that the Brown Nation again? But I wiped out that devious dictator Napoleon already, only perhaps he wasn't the only one I had to worry about. And so we come to the man behind all of this. A name feared across the entire galaxy. So powerful he had seemingly resurrected the most fearsome species in history. Not a dictator, but the Ductator. Just by the sheer size of his monocle, Colin could tell this guy was bad news. So much so that on their Skype call, he could only think to tell him that his people were descended from limbless space slugs before hanging up. Forget politics though, they had to deal with that giant whelk, and fast. God forbid it were allowed to roam free, the chaos would be immeasurable. And so, mustering up the full strength of the cannon's division, a great fleet of war crime vehicles drove out to face it. They rained hell from up on high, down upon the whelk's spiny shell. Several cars were ripped apart in a whirlwind of gnashing jaws and fire. At one point, a giant toucan flew over and threatened to join the mix, which was not helpful at all. Go away, I've got enough to deal with. The problems kept piling up though, as, in the midst of this critical battle, Colin received a warning that one of his cities was under attack. How could this situation possibly get any worse but... oh, that's how. Of course Napoleon had been resurrected as well, and this time he was giant too. Not knowing how to deal with this incomprehensible threat, Colin did what he always did and just threw more cannons at the problem, decking out the walls of his city with turret after turret. Napoleon began to take heavy fire. But, now a titan with thick skin and long legs, he waded into the city, crushing all under his giant French feet. This is it, everyone, the end of all times. The universe is doomed, and Colin the Cannon is just the start of it. You could say this is a canon event in the story. That's the joke, guys. Do you get it? That's the joke.